The final battle is about to begin. Hello everyone and welcome back to the RobeTheMatoran channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. And today we're finally starting the 2008 run of Bionicle. Now I know that it has been already 4.5 months since this year already started, and usually I like to start early, but a lot has happened and it took a while for me to get these. I was waiting like 2 weeks to even get them in the mail because it just took a while, so I apologize for that. But now I can finally start on the RobeTheMatoran, the Matoran of Light. The RobeTheMatoran were the first Matoran type created by the Great Beings and were the prototypes of the Matoran species. Takua is actually one of the first to be created of these Matorans. 100,000 years ago, eventually a group of RobeTheMatoran left to colonize Cardanui. They were chosen specifically for their light powers, and they were able to withstand the natural dangers of the core to prepare the cavernous region for its future role in supplying energy for the Great Spirit Matanui. The Brotherhood of Lakuta eventually came and invaded Cardanui, transforming nearly all of the RobeTheMatoran into Shadow Matorans, leaving only one village left. About 100 or so RobeTheMatoran remained until they were saved by the Toa Nuva. Now, with that out of the way, we can finally start the review of the RobeTheMatoran. And now, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. 2008 is definitely not one of my favorite years of Bionicle. It definitely isn't. This is kind of the part where I kind of fell off a little bit from Bionicle because it just wasn't as interesting. Not because of the story, even though I didn't know the story at the time. I literally did not know, but the actual sets were a little disappointing, especially with these Matoran. The later sets may change over time as I get them and show them off, but for the Matoran, they stay pretty consistent on how I feel about them, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. To start on a positive note here, I will say that this wave of sets definitely do bring a lot of interesting, unique new molds to Bionicle, because most of these pieces are pretty brand new for 2008, with the arms, legs, bodies, heads, masks. A lot of this is pretty new molded pieces, and that's kind of where it ends, where the positivity goes, so kind of already about to go into the negative side. So with these all being new mold pieces and everything for this whole new build that they have for the Matorans, it leaves it a bit, well, kind of basic. So they're very basic in build. Like, I know the Matorans are known for being basic, but they were always something kind of unique and really interesting to see about them, and that made them look really cool and interesting. However, with these, they are really simple and basic. And not only that, these pieces are hard to mock with. I'm not like a hardcore mockist, so trying to use these pieces to mock with, so it just makes it really difficult to really use these pieces outside of, well, these builds right here, and that's about it. So it's very limited on that. And also, these pieces are very brittle, so you couldn't even mock anyway with them because they're extremely brittle. And some sets are worse than others. Some of them are far worse, and the pieces, the joints, I guess if you will, break off on the ball joints, and you can't even play with them all that much. So if you can't pose them, you can't play with them because, well, the pieces break. And this is a running theme for all of 2008. Like, all the joint pieces, it's not just exclusive to lime green, it's essentially all the pieces. So it leaves all the sets kind of hard to really manage, because you have to be extremely careful with, because they will break pretty much almost first time using them. I would know because the Matoran I had back in the day was Solic, and he broke pretty quickly after a few months of even having them. And not even a few months, really a couple weeks. I'm not even kidding. So it makes it extremely difficult to play with. And I was maybe a little rough with them because I was a kid. I was like 8 years old when he was coming out. So I was playing with them a little rough, but not that bad. Not enough for him to warrant such a harsh cracking and breaking. And it was so bad at one point that literally the leg broke off and I couldn't even use it. I literally couldn't even attach it again. It was that broke, and that was only in a couple weeks. So I really don't like the joints or pieces here because they're really brittle, and they don't look very well good because they just, I don't know, something about it this I don't like. I don't really like the torso piece either. There's a lot to be desired in that because the design is very weird looking. It's very stocky. Like they have these really high shoulders and the necks are really low, so it just kind of gives this really weird look to it, and I'm just not a huge fan of. And as far as weapons go, they are not anything unique. These are weapons that we've seen throughout pretty much all throughout the years of Bionicle, so these are not new pieces here, unfortunately, with that. So, not really a bad thing. I wouldn't say it's like super great either, so it's like, it's some more weapons, I guess, if you just really want to use some more weapons. I mean, honestly, these are good for not even a parts bin, just the weapons, not the actual pieces, because I don't know what you could really use these pieces for other than making more Matorans, and that's honestly about it. That's as far as you get, is making more Matoran for 2008 specifically. That's all you can really do with these parts. So that's very unfortunate. Another thing is their heads. Yeah, their heads are really weird because this is a new mold and I don't like it. It has this really really weird look to it, so I'm not a fan of it. They all have the same head molds, one orange and one green, so doesn't really have a variety of colors there. And not only that, their heads are kind of ugly, so they remind me of the Matorans from way back when, from like '03 and even a little bit before that. It kind of reminds me of those heads because they're just like one big mold and they're kind of ugly, so I'm not the biggest fan of. So yeah, yeah, there's a lot to say about them and not in a very positive way. So I'm gonna flip it back and may try to bring some more positivity into this and say, at least for the Shadow Matorans, do you have these unique feet molds, for two of them at least, that they're actually new for this wave of sets. There's these two like claw pieces. They kind of remind me of the Paraka feet, but except for the third toe, it's just two toes, and they come in two different colors, one black and one gray. So not much uniqueness in colors, but at least it's an interesting mold. That can be used for other things. That can be used. I will give you that. That is something that can be used, and at least for the, I guess the Matorans, the good ones, that it's, for one of them, they have a unique, interesting like foot color. It's an orange, so that's actually really cool. So there we go, got some positivity going. But aside from that, there's not much else. So yeah, they do offer these new backpacks. Well, for the Matoran, they have the jetpacks, and then the Shadow Matorans, they have like bat-like wings. So that's neat, but I don't really like it all that much. So it doesn't really mean nothing to me. Like, I don't hate it, but then I don't like it either. So it's kind of in this gray area of interestingness of it. So yeah, it's kind of like, well, when you have one of them, you don't have necessarily all of them because they have slightly different uniqueness to them with the limbs and stuff. But other than that, you kind of have them all. Like, honestly, you're kind of fine with just having one. But I really wouldn't recommend buying any of them because they're not really all that good. So I don't know. For some people, this may be like their favorite Matorans of all time, but for me, they're just not. I really don't. This is probably my least favorite Matoran designs out of all of the Matorans I have seen and reviewed so far throughout all of Bionicle. These are my least favorite, and it's crazy. So 2008 is already on a rough start. So yeah, it's not much else to say about them. In conclusion, the Matoran are mediocre, honestly. I just don't really like them all that much. I mean, sure, they have some cool, unique mask molds and unique feet wear, I guess, for the Shadow Matorans, and the Matoran just have just an alternate color that we didn't have before. But aside from that, that's really all they have. Just some very different colors on feet molds and arms, I guess. And that's about it for like immensely positive things. So the score I give them is a 5.5. So, yikes. These guys are not all that good. They're just pretty average. So, I can't really recommend getting them unless you just really want them, I guess. But you can't get them used, and getting them brand new is a bit overpriced considering that they're kind of flimsy and they're brittle anyway, so I can't recommend that either. So get it at your own discretion if you just want them, or don't, because I say don't, because they're not worth getting. Anyway, those have been my thoughts. 5.5, that's my review. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the RobeTheMatoran here today, and let me know if you like them or you don't. You know, I love to read every single comment, and join me next time when I look at the Fantoka, an arguably better line of sets to look at. So I hope that you all enjoyed this little review, and like and subscribe, and I will bid you all adieu.
Bionicle takes off with new wings, weapons, and boosters. The Toei heroes team up with their allies. You can combine them, take off as a team, and fire your Sky Blaster. But the evil Makuta and their helpers are ready. The battle for power has begun. New powerful teams from Bionicle.